Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott. We are here to break down WrestleMania Sunday, and I'm coming on there like completely different to how I expected. I guess like 3/4 through this show when I was really enjoying it. Spoiler alert: I ain't happy about that main event. I don't want to bring it down on it straight away, but John Cena is the 70th time world champ. You'd think I'd be happy with that in the background. Yeah, no, I didn't like the way that went down at all. And you could argue that as well. He's a heel. That's the whole point. No, no, not for me. I hate to be downing on it straight away because most of the show I thought was incredible. But look, we'll jump into the show right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
So yeah, welcome back, guys, to the channel. I don't want to be coming on air in this mood, you know, because I love wrestling. I love WrestleMania. I love the guys involved with the main event, but it didn't go down the way I wanted. It's not me just saying, oh, it's not the prediction I expected. You know, I was saying Cena should do it as a baby face, and I think that's what's going to happen. And I kind of created this story in my head that I would like to see, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I think the way it went down at the end is not great, not enjoyable. Right, let's get to some of these comments. Let's bring on Lucas. I see him waiting in the background as well, just seeing setting up now. So I'll bring him in. Look, it's nearly 4 a.m. here in the UK. Maybe that's tampering my mood as well. But, you know, getting close to 3 a.m., I was feeling pretty good. I think it's the main event that's done it to me. Kieran says, John Cena didn't deserve that at the end. Sludge Sports says, great 6 matches, underwhelming main event. I think that's the story of the show, in my opinion. Main event was disappointing, but the rest of the show was fire, says Josh with the fire emoji. Let's bring in Lucas and see what he had to say about this as well. Lucas, mate, just off the bat, we'll break it down match by match and moment by moment. But kind of instant thoughts coming out of WrestleMania night 2.
Oh, it was going so well. It was going so well.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I thought that night 2 was a much better night. But I think obviously, yeah, I said it is almost 4 a.m. It's been a long weekend. We've seen a lot. Obviously, as it has only just happened, obviously, this is moments ago, what we just witnessed. Obviously, you know, those of us just joining us, or if you've somehow you missed the main event or whatever. But yeah, we have ended WrestleMania with John Cena breaking the record, become the 17th time world champion. But we've ended it, in my opinion, possibly the worst way this could have been done. Like fully. And the thing is, it's easy to just kind of say, like, you know, worst thing ever, whatever. But I'm struggling to think of a main event that's ended so badly.
Yeah, look, I'm coming out of feeling almost angry. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are many times, and ironically, I've said this a few times in Cena's run, it wouldn't be a final Cena run without me going, Cena, you know, because, you know, back in the day, I'll admit, I keep saying it, my genuine Cena was that I loved him in the early days. He grew stale to me. It was too much. And then it became a nostalgia act that I really enjoyed. And then he turned heel, and it's not the kind of heel we got you. He's a bad guy and he's done it. This is not the way he should have done it. It's just simple, done. Like, I'm someone who was angry at the man not wearing a Nexus armband because I felt like it was damaging to the Nexus. But I understood, right, okay, they're going to go with the whole T-shirt sales and stuff like that. So why now are they going to do this? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm getting riled up. But it was a great show, man. Like, overall, as you say, it was far better than night 1. Night 1 was good, but night 2, I think, was delivering non-stop as we went through the show. Let's get to some of these comments as well. Sludgeport says, night 2 was way better, but I didn't like the match. the match was fine. It was just the way it ended like that. It was very disappointing. Kieran says, I feel bad for Cody, like him getting hit with a belt in front of his family. Yeah, not a nice way to go down. Joe Hendry versus Randy was a quick match, but it was an entertaining match. I did enjoy what we saw there. So let's break down let's go back to the beginning of the show. Let's start on happier times, Lucas, because it did start in a positive way. We will get to John Cena, guys. Appreciate everyone that tunes in live or on demand. We're going to get back to the John Cena situation. Of course, we had to start with that at the top of the show because it is the big story. But let's lift ourselves up and appreciate the good things we did see on the show as well before we do run it into the ground when we get back to the main event, because my goodness, it was frustrating. Right, let's go to the very beginning. Started out with Stephanie McMahon opening up. Nice little intro. It made me wonder, Lucas, when's she going to go in the Hall of Fame, you know? So that'll be an interesting point in the future to see. It started from that point, though, with the triple threat match. I thought this was a really, really fun way to start the show. And literally straight away, a few of us were texting in and out. A lot of the guys that had been on the build-up show tonight were texting me. And I was saying to everyone that spoke to me about this match, like already it was match of the weekend contender. What were your thoughts on the opening to WrestleMania?
Yeah, no, the triple threat was fantastic. And I'm pleased that Io retained. Obviously, we spoke about other options on the pre-show, on our build-up show, like quite a lot. But yeah, Io Sky did retain. There was some phenomenal offense in. I was really pleased because, Rio and Io had a match that didn't really go down really well a few weeks ago on Raw, where things just didn't seem to. It was lost in translation. It felt like almost, but this one more than made up for it. There was a lot of offense that everyone looked really good at. Bianca seemed to embrace the villain role like quite a lot,
more and more.
Quite a lot, and this is something which I do like about Triple H's WWE. Whereas Vince would kind of shout the commentators to kind of pretend that this isn't happening or whatever. They're very aware and very conscious of kind of what's going on. But I did realize the problem that she will have if they do turn a villain is that she's so impressive what she does. But even there was a sequence that she did in the contest where when she did her, I think she did like the slam and then the moonsault thing, and it was impressive. And it gets a reaction because, like a positive reaction, because people are like, oh yeah, this is actually really cool. Yeah. Case of, but if she does turn to villain, she's still going to get that same kind of response. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very good match. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I think the right person won in terms of, it was nice. You can see how much it meant to Io as well, because they had mentioned obviously both Rhea and Bianca had like a streak basically when it came to title matches at Mania. But I don't know how you work it because triple threat, both of them have now ended because they didn't win this one. Yeah, it's really confusing. It's too late to have to divulge into that. But all I know is that Io Sky, opposite's reverse streak of never having won at WrestleMania, has now a win. And we saw a title retention. And like Amadeus saying the pre-show, not everybody had to change hands. You need to save some moments for other things. And she only won it a month and a half ago or so, innit? So, true. I thought it was solid.
Yeah, me too, man. I thought it was a really enjoyable match. And I think this is a great example of like what we'll get to again with John Cena later on. It's not the fact that my prediction was wrong or anything like that, or didn't get what I wanted in some sense. It's again, we'll get back to that. And this one here, I thought Jay Cargill might get involved. I thought Bianca might fully heal it up in this. She didn't. But still, although I picked Io to win, I wasn't confident. I was still pleasantly surprised that she did. Started out with the champ coming out first. I don't like that, but it is what it is. Good entrance for Belair. Her stepdaughter was involved. That was nice. I did notice as well, she was really singing her song, the old I Never Needed You at All. And I thought, what's going on there? She's very much kind of playing into that part of her entrance theme. But it started out with Io in the middle, like she has been throughout the whole story. Forgotten, she jumps involved. It's high intensity straight away, and there were some really incredible moments here with the suplex and the kip up from Bianca Belair. There was a lot of kind of hard hitting moves. There was Io being thrown into the barrier by the two of the other girls. A razor's edge, basically Io into Bianca. There was like a double backdrop thing from the top rope where Io flips back onto her face. It was a 450 onto Io from Bianca. A riptide only got 2. We got a lot of false finishes here. We'll touch on that later on. But yeah, really, really enjoyable. And then it ended up basically with, again, move after move being reversed, which you can forgive a little bit more, I think, in the triple threat match. Io goes to the moonsault, but the feet go up. She falls into a KOD after bouncing off of Rhea's feet. It was perfectly executed. Absolutely crazy. Didn't work out, though, after the KOD. There was the move into the post. Do you remember that when like Io was being held by Rhea, slammed in front into the post? The Riptide gets countered.
She tried for the poison run, didn't she? Off the second, off the top.
She did.
Yeah, and she got slammed back.
And then Rhea uses the Riptide, but then that gets countered. KOD comes, but not before a whip of the hair, again embracing that kind of villain side of her personality, it would feel. Io hits the moonsault, gets the 3, and Bianca's streak, as you say, is over at WrestleMania. Really, really enjoyable match. Guys, let us know in the comments what you thought of this one. It was a great way to start the show, and you know what, it's lifting my mood already when it comes to WrestleMania, because it's easy to kind of get bogged down on like the last thing you see. And again, don't you worry, guys, we ain't letting it off. We're getting back to that main event in a bit, but let's keep it light here and focus on the good things. We'll go match by match. Next up, we saw Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, and again, quite a fun contest. It was at this point, Lucas, that was thinking about the comparison compared to the night before. Already, I was thinking, like, we saw this, and then we saw this match, which was also quite entertaining. And then after this, I was going, oh, that's what we've got coming up next. Whereas yesterday, I was thinking, what else was there to look forward to? Not that yesterday was bad, but I kept using the term yesterday, mid-card mania. That's what it felt like to me. And I think there's a real issue between night 1 and night 2. And we talked a little bit about this off air, didn't we, between ourselves, chatting throughout the night as well. But the match itself, as far as number 2 on the card, was the street fight. Of course, the Sin City street fight. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. What are your thoughts on this one, mate?
Yeah, it wasn't a match I was too interested in going into it. I thought it was okay. WWE street fights do kind of have a weird formula now. Once you kind of realise it can take you out of it a little bit. But essentially, because they like to keep everyone strong, it basically means they end up repeating spots. So because they realise they go to the world of the table being like their big spot, they will use that in a street fight like so many times. And it's one of those where, because Damien go to the table, then obviously Drew's got to go for one. Because Damien hit him with a chair, now Drew's got, you know what I mean? Like it becomes a bit tit for tat like that. But look, it did its job. Like, I think, to be fair, this was an element that was actually missing from last night. I speak about it yesterday when I said about, Karrion and Naomi could have done with a stipulation like that, because they had this massive, I hate you blood feud, like, I'm attack you wherever you are. And it's just like, then when you get to Mania, it's just like a normal match. But maybe they were doing that to protect Jade, and we spoke about it yesterday. But I think that's what was missing from last night. But I also just think that both of these contests did just feel like, I mean, less so with Damien and Drew, though they have done well to kind of keep them apart for as long as they have done. Like singles match anyway. Both these matches did feel like Mania matches, like only watch this on Mania. Whereas if you go back to last night, the first 2 matches with Jey Uso versus Gunther already happened like 5 times on television and Saturday night's main event, and then obviously New Day versus Viking Raiders, which obviously again could have just been on Raw. If that was on Raw on Monday and with the title change, particularly because they had no Big E going, no Big E got involved, whatever, as people predicted would happen, people would be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's just a Raw match. But these two did feel more like Mania. The crowd was better as well, which helped. Again, I don't know what's in the air in Vegas, but it did seem that. Well, maybe you could say that there's some tired fans from obviously some of them that did obviously go to NXT. There wasn't on social media of people getting into the venue yesterday, and so I guess people maybe once they did get in, but it took a while to kind of get warmed up. Maybe it's just I don't know, but yeah, I thought this was okay. It did its job. It's one of those where I don't really know where this really seats people. Either way, it feels like it is the end because it was like a clean finish, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of rematch, something down the line. Most likely on TV at this point. But it's one of those, but it's like, I think with Drew anyway, it kind of like ends his story, I guess, with this. It kind of come full circle where obviously this time last year he was cashed in on by Damian Priest. I think this is where I realised as well that the video packages do some of the matches such good justice, because they acted like this was like some blood feud that's going on like ages, and there were all these cool moments. that's all been like 2 weeks. Like,
yeah. I mean, it is a story that has been weaved throughout the past year, and I think they've done a good job at explaining that at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff in that video goes back over the year, which you can argue is long-term storytelling. But yeah,
But
I agree with you.
It's like one thing for Mania, then Money in the Bank like a few months later, then like one little comment or one little social media post, and then it jumps to obviously them brawling and doing all the fights. That was like 2 weeks ago. You know, so
it was clever. I think they did a good job at kind of making it seem like a longer standing feud than it maybe was, and connecting all these kind of points in Drew and kind of Damien's careers kind of going at each other. So yeah, really good. As far as the match itself goes, let's break through some of the big spots. Of course, it opened up with Drew coming out with a Doom-inspired entrance for the new video game. Damian Priest had Kerry King from Slayer doing his entrance as well. So 2 big entrances in this match. Drew did the spot he did last year, didn't he, Lucas? With at work board LOL, which he did against Punk.
That was posted fast as well. Like
or not against Punk. Sorry. Punk was obviously involved in that. It was against Seth, wasn't it? But yeah, it was so fun. That's his brother, isn't it? I think I recognized him from last year doing the same. Yeah, very, very well done. And got incredible social media traction straight away, as you would imagine. A huge spot where the chair was thrown right at Drew's head, and then there was a Claymore not after that as well. Damian Priest hit a choke slam with a chair stuck around his neck. There was a razor's edge for a table, only gets a 2. Drew had a bit of a bloody back at this point, but hits a future shot DDT onto the steps again, only gets a 2. Old School is attempted by Damian. He's pushed off through 2 tables, I should say, nearly announced tables. And then there's a Claymore into a chair, which was perfectly shot, by the way, by WWE's production team, I felt. Gets the 3 count, and Drew pulls away with the victory. Not only that, he pulls away the referee from checking on Damian to raise his hand, which he's done a few times, you know, forcing that raised hands. But to do it, I felt, to pull away from someone that was injured while you're on some steps, it was quite a fun visual. But yeah, overall, a good match. Again, 2 out of 2, mate. We started the show pretty well. Let's start getting through some of these comments as well before we get into the next match, just to kind of we'll refer back to some of these later on as well, because they relate to some of the other matches. But we've got Sludge saying the entrance to John Cena's final WrestleMania, at least having some graphics and no color, it was like there was no emotion, but that was the point, Sludge. You know, they was trying to get that across, but I get where you're coming from. Dom winning was insane. We're going to get to that. One of my favorite moments of the night. Spoiler alert. Great solid triple threat, says Sludge. Free Media Tool says Triple H should be fired. Why no Rocket sucked? I'm happy at least John Cena won. Yeah, I'm not sure about that last bit for me, but yeah, not seeing a Rock was part of, I think, where these complaints will come from later on as well. Sludge says Drew versus Damian was solid, no complaints. I thought it was starting slow. There would be better things ahead, or so I thought. Let's move back into the order of the matches, though. We found out some news, actually. There's going to be an Australian PLE in October, apparently announced later on this month, so that's going to be interesting. Stay tuned to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel for more content around that. Next up, and again, this is the point where I was like, man, we are spoiled. This is a WrestleMania card, as you kind of alluded to there, Lucas. We had Dom versus Finn versus Bron Breakker versus Penta for the IC title, and Dominik Mysterio walks away with gold. And my heart feels good just saying it, mate. People were behind him. He's a massive heel, and this is why it's so impressive. But people were so ready to give him these flowers, and I was all there for it. But yeah, thoughts on the match overall, and of course, thoughts on Dominik winning.
So I'm assuming Dom's not a babyface. Like
I don't know.
The thing is, well, Finn's not a babyface. Finn can't be a babyface again.
True. Yeah, not the way it went down at the end. It felt like
I think if this is the way I've turned Dom face, it's been successful. Oh, wrong graphic.
So there we go. Yeah.
If this is the way I've turned Dom face, I think it's been successful. I do fear that if they still want him as heel, I don't know how that's going to go, particularly. Because the thing is, I guess they're going to do the whole like Finn wanting a shot and maybe something along those lines. But what I do hope is, because they teased it, I do hope they do it in terms of like Finn versus Dom. Because I'm fed up with them because constantly teasing stuff and not doing it, like Chad Gable and Otis, just never doing it.
Yeah,
You know, the money, the interest is there, and it will, you know, it's there now. So hopefully they capitalise on it. I thought the match was really, really good. I do not think that Bron Breakker is a human being, though. Like, I refuse to believe that man has human DNA. Like, it's insane, like, how good he is.
Yeah.
Like, and just the stuff he does with ease, it's out of this world. I mean, I think, you know, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are getting kind of, you know, there was like a drinking game for how many times they're saying he's a freak, he's this, whatever. People would be blacked out. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just everything he does is just at a level like, above everyone else. Like when he just leapt across the ring. Like after so obviously there's a dive, wasn't there? I forgot who did the dive. But Bron Breakker just comes from one side of the ring on the outside to the other side of the ring in one motion. You're just like, what? He's doing like
so quick
suplexes, and he's not even bridging. Like he's not even like basically bending down. Essentially, he's able just to lift someone from there and throw them straight over. Like, and then he's not doing a Frankenstein 2 seconds later. So of course, like
that alone is impressive. The way he runs up and gets onto that top rope to do that. He's got a legacy to live up to, but my goodness, as he started off on the right foot.
And so it's one of those where actually, as the match went on, when I started the match, I'm like, oh, you know what? I think he should retain because, like, you know, it's a well, you know, sadly they haven't re-spotlighted him, in my opinion, enough since the Raw's been on Netflix, and I just think he's one of those now where you look at him and go, if you've got this guy in your locker room, he's on like all as much as you need to put him on. Like literally, like I don't understand that. You know, the speed in Carlito a few weeks ago, the speed of I Show Speed at the Rumble. Like, every time this guy goes out there, he creates a moment for you. Like, and I just thought, but then as it went on, I was like, you know what? As good as this match is, this guy needs to be at the highest level in this company. And so I was just like, he actually needs to lose. Right. So it became like halfway through the match where I was going, every time he was hitting a big move and almost
you're like, no,
kick out. I wanting to lose, but it's because literally I now want to see him, Rollins, him face Gunther, him face like all these names.
Yeah.
And
do you think he's ready for that?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
the talent is there. It'd be a big jump. I mean, we've seen him do some big jumps. This is the point, right? He leaps across the ring, as you say.
We've seen Jey Uso jump from a tag team into the into the opening match.
Well, made of it, but yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. It was a fantastic showing as always from Bron Breakker. Let's go back.
All look good though. All four.
Yeah, all
good. Penta
four.
Really good. Finn looked really good. Yeah, like they just really.
I've got to learn how to do that Penta walk. I got to learn how to do that walk. You know, like
it's a weird walk, isn't it?
It's so cool.
Literally the whole match, one of those matches as well, where the whole match was based like a highlight reel. I felt like, you know, like there was something that happened pretty much. Like I think it was only 10 minutes long.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It was action packed, man. Yeah,
I think packed so much into.
They all look good. They all shone, and they all work well together as well. It was one of those matches that just made sense. We started out with Dominik Mysterio, by the way, coming out with a mask. I think related to Rey Mysterio Senior, and I made reference in the commentary about how I'm not having the mask, and I do think that's where they'll probably go eventually. I think he's got to retire Rey, and there's got to be some sort of thing there. So I actually feel like he is a heel because he'll turn face with Rey.
Okay.
At next year's WrestleMania or something like that. I feel like it's got to happen. You know, he's got to see the error of his ways and whatever else, and you know. But then you had Finn Balor coming out. I mean, they made jokes about them not getting it off. It worked out, thankfully, for a character like that. That weren't the only mistake on an entrance. We'll get to another little kind of scary one later on. But yeah, Finn Balor came out in his own little yellow mask get up as well. Some of the big highlights from this started out, as you would imagine, Finn and Dom working together. It wasn't going to be the case all the way. Penta did a nice flip outside. Bron flew out of nowhere, just diving on him. A double German suplex by Bron with a kick up. Three Amigos helped by Finn Balor until Carlito arrived. A double suplex by Bron. Frankenstein, as we mentioned earlier on Finn, only gets the two. A huge cheer for the 619, but Finn Balor realizes what's going on and catches Dominik Mysterio. And I thought, oh no, no, we've wasted it. He kicks him like mad. He knocks him down to the floor and takes kind of his anger out on Dominik having thought of even doing something like that. Penta hits a Penta driver on Finn though to distract him. Only gets a 2. Carlito pulls Braun out. Mexican Destroyer. Carlito breaks up the pin as all good bad guys on the outside should do. There's a spear through the table onto Carlito. Pat McAfee reacts like crazy as you'd expect. Yeah, run from one to the other. Dirty Dom chant is going dirty Dom. Great. It was building throughout the match. Then there is a 619. Balor tries to stop the frog splash, hits the coup de grace, but then goes for a pin himself. And what do you know? Dominik Mysterio flies off of the top rope with a beautiful frog splash to break up the pin and pins Finn Balor himself. I genuinely was feeling over the moon when that third
it was a good moment.
Hit the mat. It was unbelievable.
The only thing I will say is that the finish to both the multi-person match will be exactly the same.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, that's true.
At least the only thing I'd say. Both of them do make sense, I guess, for different reasons. But it was just like, and they were both done to perfection. So one of those where I guess there's not really like a good one and a bad one. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes there's these things where it's like,
that one was better than,
I think they're both good, but it is just something to be like thinking of, like, you know, it was the same finish.
I get could have done something else for one of them, but I guess it's tempting, as you say, when they are both quite enjoyable. Get to a few more comments here. Sludge says, absolute banger. All 4 of these guys deserve to win the world titles. To win world titles in the future. That's a big claim. But at the moment, man, I'm enjoying all of their work. Sludge also says, crazy how we went from being booed to the point that he couldn't speak, and now everyone's cheering for him at Mania. Yeah, it kind of did feel like a babyface run. I mean, Lucas got a point there. Maybe
it might be a crowd as well.
I think, you know, almost like the Canadian Bizarro world in some ways. But really happy, says Sludge as well. Going through the announce table, and Sludge was jumping like McAfee when Joe Hendry came out. We'll get to that one in just a bit, but just to recap, a fantastic fatal 4-way match, and I'm glad not only because I was right in my predictions, but because I think it was the right thing to do. I think Dominik has got to that point in his career where it's justified, man. Like, and you got to imagine what Ray was feeling backstage. I mean, I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about it myself. He's not my bloody son, but you know, just thinking about Ray, and like, Dom was good when he came onto the scene in the pandemic era. Don't get me wrong, but like, he's come on leaps and bounds since then, and I think it's really, really impressive. The fact he's done all this now without his dad as well, very, very cool. Let's move into the next match as well. Talking about very cool, we had a great moment here. Randy Orton wanted his WrestleMania match. He said, "Look, I'm going to be there. The baby boy was going to be the right amount, and I'm going to wait for someone to take hold of this opportunity." And look, I don't think many people said his name, but he flipping well appeared. Joe Hendry arrived on the scene at WrestleMania, Lucas. Wow, what a amazing twist. I did not expect this. What are your thoughts on the Joe Hendry, TNA champion Joe Hendry, I might add, arriving on the scene at WrestleMania? Yes, he's worked with the WWE before, but this was a new step.
Yeah, and obviously now he's been on the Rumble as well this year, been part of NXT. You know what? I just think this was a very well done thing all in. Look, it wasn't match of the year contender. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like amazing by any means, but I think it done everything it needed to do. You know, for this segment. Obviously, the original segment that was booked would have been obviously some sort of blood fuse, unsigned match, you know, crazy thing that Orton and Kevin Owens would have done. That would have been. I'm thinking we would have sat there after that, probably thinking, well, to be fair, I think if that match had gone on, the show would just be finishing now, I reckon.
Yeah, it would have been a longer show.
There would have been another 20, 30 minute kind of match, you know, on a show, which obviously we'll get to stuff later on, don't worry. But yeah, I think this job, like, I know there'll be some people maybe think that Joe Hendry got done a bit dirty, but I don't think so. I don't. You know, I think in terms of realistically, it's one of those where I think they realised going into it that, look, we all know that Joe Hendry was never going to beat Randy Orton. So why
he should have been there.
Go through 10 minutes, 15 minutes of like pretending he's going to.
Yeah, he should have been. He shouldn't, as much as I like him, he shouldn't have been in that position. The fact they gave him that position is a big deal. I know some people could look at it like he was squashed, right? And he did look a little bit rookie-like when he was picked up by Orton, and we'll get to that moment in a minute. Don't get me wrong. But TNA is not what it used to be, right? We can't pretend it is, right? And they are working with them for a reason. So, look, I've seen WWE squash people in the past. I don't really think that's what this is. They are building Joe Hendry.
Got his bits in. And the thing is, it's one of those where when you think about it, like as a wrestler, yes, they always mention that he's got amateur wrestling experience, but it doesn't mean anything in this kind of thing. It's not like he was in the Olympics or like like that, but he knows he very much one of those wrestlers who he knows what he does, and he does that, and he does the simple stuff well, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that he's then going to be able to be like, have a main event level match around Randy Orton, and because he didn't need to. Like, and I even said this yesterday as well. What something that was missing is, to be fair, something that was missing yesterday again was a short match. If you're going to have this, particularly when we're having, half the show be adverts and videos and entrances, like have a match which is just like this. This was perfect fine. It didn't have to go into kicking out a finisher territory. Didn't have to go to interference or anything like that. It just was, and I think it was smart how it was done because he does his whole like turn thing quite a lot, and
good.
Just took advantage.
So good. So
and
clever. It's the kind of thing I wouldn't have pictured, but I'm so glad that someone at some point backstage said, this is what we're going to do for the RK Out of Nowhere. It was so clever. It fit into both their characters. Really enjoyable. And I think, look, if you spoke to Joe Hendry, I don't want to speak for the man, but I think if you spoke to Joe Hendry and people in TNA, they'd be pretty happy with what went down here. Again, this isn't TNA trying to compete with WWE. And that's no disrespect to TNA. I think TNA are on an upward trajectory since they've moved into this new era. But yeah, we got to we got caught a spade. It is what it is, man. And I think this was a great kind of opportunity for TNA and for Joe Hendry. And yeah, just a really enjoyable, fun match, as you say. Some of the highlights from this, again, it wasn't a long one. It started out with Randy Orton coming out with, I feel, was it retro-inspired gear. He had that kind of bluey, purpley gear with a yellow on. Which
colors, but
yeah.
We used to have like biker shorts, didn't they, when he debuted?
Yeah. It was quite similar to that. Nice for that. It was his 20th WrestleMania. And again, man, you tell Joe Hendry at any point in his life, you're going to be facing Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's enough. And the way it's all came together out of a horrible tragedy involved with Kevin Owens, the fact that they've pulled something out of this, I got a feeling that Kevin Owens, again, don't want to speak for the guy, but just from seeing interviews and having kind of been around him before, I have a slight feeling that Kevin would have a big smile on his face. Yeah, he would have been disappointed he missed out here. I think Kevin's one of those kind of students of the game and loves wrestling, that he would have enjoyed something like this, seeing someone else get an opportunity. Yes, maybe at his expense in some ways. But yeah, generally speaking, I think they made chicken salad out of chicken, is essentially, as far as the scenario goes. It wasn't long. Like I say, it made sense, but turning the taunt, if you didn't see it, Joe Hendry turns around. They go. I was thinking, man, they've prepared this taunt. They must have known when it was going to come, and it was all because it was for this big moment. Randy Orton hits the RKO, wins the match, picks him up, praises him, and what do you know? He does it again. And again,
this is another one though where you realize how big Orton is. Like Joe Hendry is, he's not a big guy, but he's, for wrestling, and then like next to Randy Orton, like he just looks tiny. It's really weird.
Yeah. Randy's he's put especially when he came back a while back, didn't he? It was very noticeable then. But yeah, I mean, I love Randy. I love seeing Randy Orton have fun, and he did he did Joe Hendry's pose. He did the same thing, and then he did his own pose on top of that. Really enjoyable. And again, at this stage, I'm loving WrestleMania night too. Let's get to some of these comments here. Sludge again says, didn't expect it. Fact Sisters in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. So what do you think was the better day, night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania?
I'll
this
give
might,
that at the end.
Yeah, this might dive further into deep conversation, I think. So we'll hold back on that. But that is a great comment. We will get there. Sludge has weighed in on it, though. So nights 2, hands down. I look back at night 1. There's only 3 matches that entertained them. Fact Sister says, but main event night 1 was way better than main event night 2. That's a good point. There was that kind of contrast between the two. Hands down, night 1 says Sludge Sports. The whole thing, other than the main event, felt like a mid-card mania. I feel bad kind of coining that term now, but it seems like Fact Sister agrees with Sludge's opinion. But Fact Sister, thank you for that comment. We're not shying away from it. I promise you. We're going to come back to that because that's a great comment. And yeah, we will get to that in due course. Now, after the Joe Hendry Orton match, we got AJ Styles, which is AJ Styles, versus Logan Paul in a match that I was really looking forward to, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I hoped. I think the show was quite stacked at this point, and I actually did start to think, can this live up? I don't think it delivered in the sense that it could have delivered. Tom on the build-up made the joke earlier on that, well, maybe Logan will finally give AJ Styles the best WrestleMania match of his career over what Shane McMahon gave him, because AJ's not had a great run at WrestleMania, other than the Boneyard match, which wasn't really, wasn't a match.
That was AJ Styles' best WrestleMania match, I think.
That's it. But this one had a lot of hope, and for me, again, it weren't a bad match. It weren't bad, but it weren't what I hoped for.
I think it maybe it probably went a little bit too long, and then obviously we've still got the trope of obviously Logan Paul having YouTube mates and people who want to get involved, and and that was nice. It was an interesting use of Karrion Kross. Interesting, seeing obviously how forward. And there were some nice little bits and pieces in there. I still maintain that Logan Paul has probably the best finish in the business at the moment. I think that the pulverizer is really just a cool move. And there was some nice kind of little bits. I liked especially when he did, and again, his gimmick of how he does the other person's finisher. Like, I think it's just such a cool thing to do, and it just makes sense because when you think about Logan Paul, if you think about who Logan Paul is as a wrestler, it's very much just makes perfect sense because obviously the general is that wrestlers shouldn't do each other's finishers, but he's not a wrestler. He's someone who's watched wrestling and wants to be in the wrestling, and it's just that kind of typical rich kid thing, isn't it? Of just like, well, I can do what you do because I've got this, and then it always makes, and it's something just very easy that he can just put into all his matches. It's one of those, but to be fair, it was slow at start, but it got better, and controversial here, but I think the right man won. I think Logan Paul needed the win.
Same.
I think as much as Styles and he's fantastic, and he keeps having fantastic moments, I think Logan winning was the better option. And potentially we'll see a rematch down the line where AJ wins. That's also fine. Or if AJ goes it was to feud with Karrion Kross, that's also fine. But all this stuff is fine. But I'm with you in thinking that it just maybe slightly under-delivered, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't into the bad territory where you're like, oh, I wish I didn't put it on. It's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And maybe they are saving something for a rematch. Maybe next month, if they do it next month and they have a better, quote unquote, better match, kind of going, oh, this is why they did that at Mania. Because it is hard, especially like tonight, seven match card, with obviously much bigger stuff. Well, had happened previously to this.
Yep.
Stuff, or much more talk worthy stuff as we are going to get to. Every time I'm talking, I'm just thinking I'm going to hurry up just to that last bit. I don't really have much to say. Like, or with respect, we're just saying we're saying it under delivered, isn't it? We're not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just where I thought this would be potentially a match of the night contender. It fell sadly into maybe the lower half of the show.
Yeah.
Only just. Like maybe mid.
In a card that was, delivering. So, it's no shame. But again, it was something I expected to be match of the weekend, and it wasn't. Some highlights for me, seeing the entrance video package they did, seeing TNA footage of AJ Styles, not as much as I expected, but once I saw it, it was still nice to see. Logan Paul had this really cool new entrance where he used a drone and all these camera angles. He highlighted the fans that were sitting on the stage. He caught the drone on the top rope, which I thought was pretty cool as well. And a new theme song that seems to fit his character of being a maverick as well. Yeah, a lot of usage of the ring on the outside. It was a bit of a slow start. There was a big lion salt, which I didn't really see until I went back. There was a... It went quite far across the ring. I only saw the landing and the commentator praising it. But Andy was texting me at the time and he was like, "Did you see that lion salt?" And I was like, "What? Is that what that was?" Springboard 450 into the knees. One that was kind of, you saw it coming, but still good delivered.
Yeah. Did you get the thing that AJ kept doing a weird thing? Like, I don't know how much of it was AJ or there was some sort of miscommunication, but every time AJ went onto the apron, he kind of just paused for what felt like forever.
I thought you were going to say that. He's slowed down a lot.
Like, I get that, he's selling offense, and I get, we're not watching New Japan or AEW where things get boing all the time. They felt like it was like, okay, that's usually like a once or twice thing, or in WWE it's like, they do the whole, like, if someone's worked your leg and then they get, you get thrown onto the apron and you can't land because your legs hurt, so you sell that. And that costs you the finish. But you don't get that just in random, like, oh, he's on the apron, but now he's going to stand there, just like,
it's weird as well, because what I'm assuming it might be is I'm sure I saw an interview with AJ where he said that basically the older he gets, he's finding things harder, and like, which makes sense, right? And I remember watching that thinking, really, I don't see that. Like, I'm sure you're feeling aches more than you used to feel when not seeing that, but like, I just didn't see it in his presentation. Maybe that's why it is. He doesn't look like he's struggling, but he slows it down to keep pace for himself so that he can keep up. Maybe that's what we're saying, because he still hits his big high impact moves. But yeah, it was a little odd. I did notice it as well. He was slowing down quite a bit, but still some big spots in this as well. You mentioned it a moment ago. There was a Styles clash by Logan. Then there was one from AJ where he rolled straight through. Not a fan of being hit with a move and then doing another one, but you could say your one's crap, mine's better, and this is the point. It didn't even affect me, I guess. But I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence about that. Both look tight, by the way. Both their heads were a little bit too close to the floor for my liking. Karrion Kross did come out as well to try and stop Logan's mate with the brass knuckles. Then tried to encourage AJ to use them. He threw him, hit Karrion Kross. Turns out to not be a good decision because eventually Logan Paul would hit him with the pulverizer and get a free count. But as you said, good to see Karrion Kross involved with this here as well. That was the AJ Styles and Logan Paul match. Moving on to the next one. We saw the women's tag team titles on the line. I'll use the old graphic here. Of course, many people know that Bayley was out in the match. It was Raquel and Liv versus Lyra, Valkyria, and a surprise partner who was, as expected, Becky Lynch. Now, don't get me wrong, big pop. Happy to see her back. I'm a fan of Becky. Not a fan of the result.
Same.
I'll let you take this one then.
Yeah, I mean, look, they did do a good job on comment of, like, obviously saying about, obviously Liv obviously defeated Becky Lynch, before.
Yeah.
But again, one of those where they made out like this had been Liv's, like, ulterior motive all along, like all year building up to this, and forgetting the fact that she pretty much spent most of that year then feuding with Rhea Ripley.
To be fair though, I did think the other day when there were rumors going around, yesterday even, I was like, I should have said, and on tonight's build up as well, I should have said that, because they did make a point of Liv retiring Becky like up until about 6 months ago. Maybe it would be too obvious if she started saying it again recently, but it was kind of those interwoven long-term feuds in some way. So I do give them credit in that.
Yes, because there was the rumors about Becky Lynch being part of the debut episode of Raw on Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then there's rumors at the Rumble. Then there's Rebecca, but it just seems like we're in that. I don't know where this is coming from, but it does seem that they have had problems with contracts since Triple H has been involved. Because if you look at the situation that happened, there were people like Dijak, for example, whose contract was allowed to expire, and they didn't even know apparently. But anyway, I think, look, I have no problem with Becky Lynch being the tag partner. I have a massive problem with the result, as the women's tag division is now back to being a bit of a mockery. It didn't need to be. Now, something I am pleased at is, look, as much as I've disliked some of the over-the-top fan involvement, particularly the European shows, particularly when it comes to that bloody Seth Rollins song. But anyway, much as I've said that, I am glad that Lyra Valkyria, the fans are slowly starting to do the woos on her entrance.
Yeah.
Deserves it. And I felt it's really cringe a few weeks back on Raw when she was trying to do it and no one was getting it. And you're just like, you literally sit there doing that bloody annoying song all the time. Like, even when the man is talking, you just sat there going, but you can't understand. Just say woo when she puts
Like, what a good place for it to catch on though. WrestleMania. I mean, what a night she would have had. Yeah,
I was pleased for her because she's been, in my opinion, one of the low-key MVPs of the women's division, because she refuses to have a bad match or segment, despite the fact that she's not given anything to do. Which is, I don't see, again, it's one of those, be like, how? She had a really good match with Bailey a few weeks back. She had a really good match to Kai a few weeks back. But they just seem to go, oh, well, you've had a match now, so is that all we need to do now? It's like, no, build a feud, build a rivalry, build like something up so that this title can mean something. But yeah, the result was as kind of expected with these things. Just they have that formula, it seems, WWE, and they won't break from it. It just seems when you come back from an injury, this is what happened. If you come back on a pay-per-view and it's the match, and she's worse than Charlotte Flair, so this, it's now literally confirmed because Charlotte Flair lost yesterday.
Exactly. To her credit, she didn't actually do it when everyone thought she would.
Flair wins on SmackDown, I don't care. Becky Lynch is still worse because it's been 3 times now. Like it's literally 3 times, and it's just
the Bianca one would always be the worst, but
But it's just like now, it's like every time she wants to leave again, are they then going to go like, oh, well, Mania or SummerSlam, we'll just win a title? And she go, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's basically what they've got given the right to do now. I mean, I think I even say that I'm not really, I feel neither way about Becky Lynch, genuinely.
Yeah,
like, I feel that if she was part of the company, good. If she's not part of the company, also good. Because I feel there's so many other women there that I think, but I now think, like, if she'd come, hopefully she's come back and she either wants to really, really commit to the women's tag division. Because yes, I do agree she could be a face that could, if they want to do this properly, yes, they could get that women's tag division really kicking because she's a name.
Yeah.
But if it just feels like it's just a feather in her bow and it's just a case of like, this is just for now, and it's going to like disappear off like a month or 2. It's just But yeah, Lyra 2 belts also a good thing as well coming out of this. Match itself wasn't like, for me, there wasn't much in it. It did feel like it just went through the motions until the inevitable, which I guess isn't a bad thing. But I guess the Mania feel of this match was Becky Lynch being involved. But if you literally took Becky Lynch out of this match and put another random woman in, this match is a Monday Night Raw match. Like in terms of the actual
the match itself. Like it was more about the moment, wasn't it? Of the return.
So the 2 moments of the pop up for the entrance, obviously, and the pop when they did obviously win. And they won in the typical non-tag team finish that WWE do of just the singles wrestler does a singles finish and that's it. Because,
I did like Lyra's diving. It's like a tornado DDT. I think she did it to Raquel to kind of set that up. So I did like that, but then straight away I was put off by the ref Matt hitting the ground for the 3rd time because I wasn't thrilled about Becky Lynch becoming a champion. I wasn't thrilled about 2 belts on one person because it now means that the IC title is probably going to be forgotten or these titles are going to be forgotten, which is going to be really weird. There are many ways you can go in this storyline. I'm hoping, I don't think they really know.
I think Lyra should just go shooting now. She's literally just be like, okay, I'm going to just, while you're doing or showing the entrances, showing people's arrivals and showing what happened on Netflix, showing Travis Scott, showing whatever, I'm just going to march the ring on Raw and say, who wants an IC title match? And just have a match. Literally, the cameras are filming it or they're not filming, don't care. They go to NXT the next day, defend the tag belts against Gigi Doden and and then go to SmackDown and do the same thing. Literally, while they're doing the arrivals and doing all the skill for
it would just have a match.
Say, who wants an IC title match? I'm here because she's one of those wrestlers where you just need to have a wrestle. That's it. That's your job. Like you don't have anything else to do with this lady apart from just keep putting people in front of her. She's shown you on NXT that she's she's up there with the best. Just keep giving her women to wrestle. That's all you have to do. She doesn't need storyline. Doesn't need like a long 20-minute promo segment, and she doesn't need like all this build and all that kind of stuff. Just let her do what she does best, and that's wrestle. And I think they need to actively find more time to get more of that onto the shows. Because is the difference between people coming out and people knowing who people are versus people coming out and people not knowing who they are. But yeah, look, in terms of it's just the default result I'm annoyed at. But again though, what I will say, we compare it to last night, it is still better because it was at least a moment that felt like it was WrestleMania worthy. Do you know what I mean? Like if it had to be any show of the year, it's a WrestleMania thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm worried about the
I could
future
see some Raw
titles, but yeah, for what it was, for Lyra, for Becky, for the fans in attendance, good. Not so great for the tag division, in my opinion. But I get where you're coming from. Some comments here as well. Sludge says this gave me AJ versus Edge vibes at WrestleMania 38. I'm sure referring to the AJ Logan Paul match. I see where you're coming from with that as well. Also said I didn't care about this match. Happy Becky return, but I'm not a fan of people holding a singles title and the tag title. It is what it is, but I'm really happy for Lyra. She looks so grateful. 100% agree with that comment. Couldn't say much more beyond that, to be honest. Hope Becky turns heel on Raw and relinquishes the title. Her and Lyra at a pay-per-view or even a PLE. Yeah, I get what you mean. It'll be not great for the tag titles again, but maybe that's where they go because, again, we got this match on NXT as well, so we'll see where we go. JMTSDN, what a name, is in the house. Thank you, Mr. Togan Khan, for saving professional wrestling. AEW. Nice to hear you're a fan of AEW, buddy. What did you think of WrestleMania? Let us know in the comments your thoughts on tonight's show. Let's move it on though. Let's head into next after this, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out in a very, very awkward moment. He comes out on his four-wheeler and he rams into the entry point, the barrier. Looks like he hurts a woman. I won't dive too far into this because we don't really know the ins and outs of it. It's just not a nice situation, and there's a lot going on. Nick Khan was around the ringside. Austin seemed to go apologize. I just feel bad for everyone involved for this. And as much as I liked hearing the glass shatter at WrestleMania, I was very disappointed. And I think this was the writing on the wall that the main event wasn't going to deliver, because I kept saying that Austin being there should have been helping Cody Rhodes. So I thought, he's not helping Cody, which means Cena's winning. And that means we're going to get this new stable with Seth Rollins. And we didn't get that either. Again, we're going to get to that. But yeah, any thoughts on Stone Cold Steve Austin's little accident at ringside?
There's not much you can say, I think, until we kind of get confirmation of what, if there isn't any, one of those where if there is no injury to the fan, then it's one of those where it's just one of those like, okay, remember that time. But if it is, obviously there has been an injury here, it is also one of those where maybe it's like we've got to maybe think about how we talk about this. So I will ignore that for now. I think Austin did the right thing in terms of he spoke to the fans straight after it happened.
Yeah,
he also spoke to the fan at the end of his promo, which it was funny because somebody in one of the group chats did say for the main attendance thing, they should just count the fans individually, and we laughed it off. And obviously Stone Cold did that as part of his promo.
Yeah, it was funny actually, that bit there.
But it did kind of, I think the accident sadly did kind of affect the promo announcement, of it. And Stone Cold he is a pro in the sense of he tried his best to kind of add some comic relief to it. Did his little spin, saw that potentially. With respect to, I guess he probably told he hadn't got much time out there anyway, because he announced for God's sake. But then also the funny thing from this, obviously, still is there's still some Vinceisms in this bloody company, because most of these people were here on combo tickets. So please explain to me how there's 125,000 people.
Yeah,
most people were on combo tickets. Or would have bought, most you were going to this event, you're watching both nights. And so but that aside, I don't really have much to say about it. It made sense in it being a smart way to get him on the show, to get the pop. I get that. And I guess we could see similar models follow. But also, again, what I was concerned about if he was to be part of the main event is that where it would lead us going forward, like next year, the people want Undertaker, you know, and do they moan because you know, do they moan because doesn't come out to help?
True.
You know, his bisexual relation, Damian Priest. You know, like, you know, do you get angry? You know, how long do you do this for as well? Like 5-10 years down the line, still people wanting, because you know they make Rock, or because 10 years ago this happened, then the Rock's got to come out now and he's like fixed it.
Yeah, that might be one good thing about the ending to WrestleMania. It dampens expectations for next year. Maybe that's the one positive we can take. But that's well, it's leading us into it nicely, mate. It's time to talk about the main event. Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship against John Cena. We've touched on this a little bit already at the start of the show. So I know Lucas's instant kind of thoughts on it there. We're going to break it down a little bit further now. But before we do, let me just get you kind of up to speed with some of the highlights from the match itself. It did start off with Cena, as we mentioned in the comments earlier on, coming out with plain entrance graphics, which I thought was quite good. There's a really weird bit with a runner being in the way of it. I thought that was very awkward after what we'd just seen as well. Then it was a motocross kind of entrance for Cody Rhodes. Pretty cool. He's mask moved and stuff like that. But I did think, that we really want to be using vehicles on the stage after what we just saw? Then Cena was brushing off the fans in his intro. I thought that was quite funny. Huge boost for Cody Rhodes, I got to say. And then the match started. It was quite slow. And I have to be honest, at this stage, I weren't paying attention. But I weren't fearful of that, Lucas. I was just thinking main event style. Sometimes they start slow. I was a bit kind of preoccupied by setting up the stream and stuff like that. The big tornado DDT from Cody Rhodes, though, which kind of piqued my interest. Slow in the shoulder tackles. It was a little bit different from John Cena. At this point, I was like, oh, yeah, we haven't seen him wrestle since he turned heel. 5-knuckle shuffle didn't work out. I thought he wasn't even going to go for it. I thought he was going to do that and go, I'm not going to do you can't see me. I'm just going to do the move. Didn't happen, though. He gets hit with an eye poke. Fans wanted the greatest hits from John Cena, says Michael Cole, which I did not see it that way. I just felt like they were booing Cody because there's something kind of wrong going on there anyway. There was an AA which got a 2. There were plenty of them, don't get me wrong. 5-knuckle shuffle, there was loads of reversing. A super AA got a kick out. There are more reversals. AA, then an STFU mentioned, which is still the STF, but for some reason Cole seemed to act like it was an old move being brought back. Unless I am mistaken and there is a nuanced difference between the two, suddenly we could be calling it the FU instead of the AA as well, but we didn't do that. The ref went down, which I thought, here we go, it's going to get exciting. No, there was a crossroads, didn't really go anywhere. Of course, there was about a million count, as always, didn't really get the win it deserved for the babyface. Cody went into the exposed turnbuckle, which say twice. There was an AA again, only hits 2, but this time it was very close. Travis Scott's music hits. Cena starts laughing. At this point, I thought, oh, he's coming out to be annoyed at Cena. Like, The Rock's coming next to say, Cena, what the heck are you doing? Because Andy had said to me a little while earlier in text, like, this could be a chance where Cody has to save Cena because, of a turn or anything like that on Cena. So I was thinking, maybe we're getting that. It was a bit weird that there would have been a DQ for Travis Scott getting involved. The ref was just casually watching for this whole kind of hold him, go and slap him. That was really weird to me as well. Then we had the crossroads. The referee gets pulled. Another crossroads now, but this time on Travis Scott. Nice to see him get his comeuppance, I guess. Cody hit. There was some belt action and stuff like that. That was it. He had the belt. He was going to hit Cena. Cena started begging for it when it got taken off him. Instead, hits him with a low blow. Nice heel work there, don't get me wrong. But then Cena hits him with the belt, and that was it. It got the victory for John Cena after all the incredible kickouts we'd seen. It ended on a title belt to the face. A very underwhelming end to the show, a very underwhelming match ending as well. Lucas, we've hit the highlights there. Thoughts?
This was garbage. I'm sorry, it was garbage. And the problem is, like I said, it's not the result. It's not the result.
It's the execution.
Not the result. It's the execution. And the fact that I'm fearful for where we're going, because next year you're gonna have like another celebrity come out and interfere. And the thing is, let's put it in terms that people understand, right? So Rock and Stone Cold, right? Mania 17, fantastic. right? Everyone agrees. Fantastic match, right? These two going at it, the end of the Attitude Era, big match, WWE title on the line,
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. Okay, we're gonna pretend the angle afterwards doesn't happen, but let's say we're deep into that match and we've got already they're kicked out of each other's finishes, and then the ref goes down, and then out of nowhere, bloody, we're gonna say did he, but maybe not.
Fred Durst, maybe he was in and
Fred
around the
Durst,
WWF.
Usher, like someone comes out, like Usher comes out, has his music, holding a belt from 20 years ago, holding
from 20 years earlier, yeah. So like Hogan's first title wheel.
And then he comes to the ring and then shakes hands with bloody Stone Cold, and then gets in the ring and eats a rock bottom. Like, do you know what I mean? This is where we're at. Like when you compare it like for like it's bonkers. It's just, look, celebrities will always have a role in wrestling. Okay? And I know there'll be a lot of people here that, well, not in general, wrestling fans will say, "Oh, they don't have any role," but they do. They do, because since WrestleMania's formed, they've been a big part of it. But their roles should be limited to, guest commentators, announcers, things outside the ring, even if it's guest referee. If we're in the mid 2000s and you want to like a mid card kind of weird tag match and you have a celebrity partner, look, all for that. If there's no title on the line, there's just babyface pride or whatever it is, and you have a random celebrity team, that's also good. Or singing a song, if they're a singer, they can sing a song. But they shouldn't be coming out in the WrestleMania main event,
one of the biggest angles of all time as well, Elimination Chamber, like
interfering with the WWE Championship match. Like they shouldn't be. And Cena shouldn't need or want this help. And then it was just a weak finish because you had fair enough, you had a low blow and a belt shot, which, look, they are big things, but we're talking about a WrestleMania main event involving someone who just this time last year beat like pretty much because obviously Lesnar's had to go into hiatus. Roman Reigns at that point was like the big final boss kind of thing of WWE, and so now he's beaten by interference for a rapper. And a low blow, a belt shot. And it was so bad that I genuinely was thinking Adam Pearson to come out and restart the match. Like, that's what I felt. I just felt like there's all this going on, and it was
so
really
lacking. Off. It was so lacking, like
really off. And I'm just like, Adam Pearson, you're gonna come out and just be like, we're not having this. Like, let's start the match, no DQ, and then like Cody does like 3 crossroads onto the belt or something. And it's like 1, 2, 3, and then. I mean, like, to be fair, like, this is the thing. They're playing with fans' emotions because you've got the fact that fans really want to see Cena's 17th title run. And we're all seeing it. But the execution was absolute garbage. And awful. The problem is, this is the full stop explanation point. And obviously, we talk about the controversies around the 2 nights thing, which one's, does the other one count as a main event? But in WWE's law, it does. But anyway, about the fact that the true final match of WrestleMania 41 is, again, awful. I came straight to the ring pretty much after it happened. But I'd already seen a few kind of things and bits and pieces. It's not even polarizing. It's like 99% of people hate this,
right?
Like, and it's not in the because he's heel and like blah blah. It's like, no, like we genuinely.
And I just hope it doesn't get chalked off as that as well. I really hope they don't go, you just don't get it. Nah, I don't think you get it if you're booking like this. Like, that was. I hate to say it because because I love the product at the moment. We're here to have a good time and enjoy it, and we are giving praise where it is due. But this was awful, mate. Like, it really was bad. I was hesitant to complain about the Travis Scott stuff last month or Elimination Chamber because I was like, like you say, celebs have their spot. But I felt like it was it was encroaching. It was in the way of the biggest moment, which I didn't like.
It was the main event,
and he hurt Cody. But I mean, look, we've got a comment here actually. Let me get to it from Sludge, saying now Travis Scott needs a match at SummerSlam. Well, I bloody hope not, because if there's anything to go by the way he was in the ring tonight, and this isn't me saying he should be perfect, right? Because he is at the end of the day a rapper, right? Yeah. But like, it didn't look good. He was very sloppy, right? And he was very sloppy and uncomfortable at Elimination Chamber as well. And it's just really, really bizarre. Look, we talked about how, sing a song or do this or do that or be a manager or guest announcer or even a tag match in a comedic role. But at the same time, you got Pat McAfee, amazing. Bad Bunny, amazing. Logan Paul, amazing. The way Triple H talked about it was like we were going to get one of them again. Judging by what we saw tonight, we are not getting one of them if he steps in the ring. So it's going to be more like
he doesn't care. Like you can tell he doesn't care, and that's the worst part is the fact that, you know, end of the day, as divisive as John Cena has been for the past like 20 years, we've always known that he cares. And Cody, he believes that he cares. Like, you know, we know he cares. It's in his blood. And even Michael Cole on commentary, he kind of got me a little bit when he did say, you know, he's been best friends with John Cena for like 20 years. He's going to call the match unbiased. And you do realise that, and sorry, actually, I'm actually going to say this actually, because I think it needs to be said. Michael Cole for the Hall of Fame in 2 years' time. It'll be his 30th year calling WrestleMania in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he announced at the start of this one. It was his 28th year. You know, announcing, you know, commentating on WrestleMania, which is it's the most ever already. But 2 years, and you know, and the fact that obviously he's been the voice and the face of this company for so long. But yeah, like Michael Cole, obviously, bless him, doing his best job to kind of. You say he's call this unbiased. He's been friends again. He's been friends with the Rose family. You know, he's been friends with John Cena, like outside. You know, this whole thing, and it's just you can tell like all these people, even people like Pat McAfee annoys the hell out of me, but I can tell that he's passionate, somewhat at least. He just seems sometimes a bit more interested in the celebrity element, but I get.
Yeah, I think I think he sometimes feels it's his duty to get that over. I think is why he does that. You know, I think he sometimes. It seems like it feels like it's his duty to get the celeb aspect over because he's that kind of conduit between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's
I
also
get what you mean.
A guest though for his own show. Let's be deadly honest. When we see Travis Scott as a guest on the Pat McAfee show in a couple of weeks, we'll understand, you know. But yeah, I think you know they're all trying to get behind it, and Wade's obviously very good at what he does. But then you got a guy coming out who just doesn't care. Like he's a fan, fair enough, that's cool.
Yeah,
like, he obviously like the Attitude Era, so that's where he came with the hardcore belt. Look, that's all this stuff is cool, but then it's like they have people behind the barrier who do that a little bit. They have the little
it's got its place, but that weren't its place.
Like here's Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
Here's Flavor, of course it's Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
You know, here's Flavor Flav, still with the clock around his neck, like it's nice. There we go, like come on, like whatever. But you know, that's their role. Or even backstage, like they had that NXT that had Penn and Teller, which but you're like, okay, they knew, okay, look, they can fool around with Lexis King, who's a nice way he's a mid card guy with a mid card belt. They do a little thing where the trophy goes AWOL or whatever. But they're not. You're not having Penn and Teller come out
in the main event,
like challenge over Femi,
crossing over Femi,
Like, we're laughing, but this is what it is.
That's what they've done.
That's what they've done. Say. They're literally say that, okay, because Travis Scott can get involved in this main event, the NXT, like, of course, like, they're going to have, you know, Sexy Red just, like, walk up into the ring and, like, get in front of, like, Trick Williams. Like, of course you are. Do you know what I mean? Or in AEW, like, you're going to have, like, John Moxley, you know, blading for the 15,000th time, and then, oh, look, like, best turn around. Like, there's bloody... You know, I don't know, like
Brian May
walks out or something. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is what they're setting up. It's hard to find, like, you know, I really want to find like a glimmer of hope here. But all I can say is that you know, Cena looked okay in the ring. You know,
well, we are clutching at straws here. We are clutching.
Thing is, as well, like I was just thinking, you know, the problem I guess they've got as well with this stuff is I'm saying this in one of my chats as well. Like WWE, once they kind of get, you know, their matches now, main event match have like a very like set formula, it seems, and they get to a point usually after the first big move kick out or big finisher kick out, where there's basically three options: it's spam finishers, spam interference, or both. And this one was both, plus the addition of all the belt stuff and the head of. You've got the head of the turnbuckle and low blows and more finishers, and then bloody Travis Scott having a finisher. And do you know what I mean? Like it just got to the point where it's just excessive. Like genuinely, if they'd had Travis Scott come out and just like stand like outside or whatever, and then just do him pulling the referee out, maybe off the crossroads. Then you have Cody getting his face, he gets in, eats the low blow, belt shot, AA, 1, 2, 3. That's okay.
Yeah, it's
The
still
fact
not
that
what I
Travis
want,
Scott
but it's still
was
better
out there for
delivery.
so long. Like he actually, I might have to time it because I'm genuinely thinking he might have been out there longer than Joe Hendry was. Like, which you got a problem when a celebrity is out there longer than people who are paid to bloody do this. Like, you can love, hate, dislike, whatever rest you want. But yeah, I think even at the tag match on night one was barely 8 minutes, 9 minutes long. I genuinely think Travis Scott was out there in the ring longer than the War Raiders and New Day.
It felt like it at least. It was.
It's definitely above the 5 minute mark once because once you add the post match as well, the fact that you celebrate with John Cena, which again it just irks me because even when they showed the chamber footage, it's just they're trying to cut around the fact that this guy is just bloody leaning in the corner, looking disinterested, like waving sage around, and
just acting
all
too
this
cool,
nonsense, just acting like an idiot. And he went to this big serious turn. The same thing here. You got this big moment where yes, we just like the moment, but still it's a big moment. John Cena's won number 17, and then if they show this in like 5-year, 10-year time, we're gonna have just play Travis Scott standing there. And in that sort of way, most of these rappers end up getting DUIs, in prison for something, tax problems, or they end up just having a song that offends people. And so in 5 years' time from now, Travis Scott might not even be a bloody thing. Because
it's a risky move, I think, when you work with celebrities anyway.
Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, look, we'll get to some of these comments here. Sludge says the match could have been 15 minutes longer. Look, I think it kind of went on long, but it could have been 15 minutes longer. I think you think that because there could have been 15
more
minutes.
Travis Scott?
No, but of better stuff. I think that's the thing. It says,
okay,
OMG, what was Triple H thinking? And yeah, he hit him with a dang belt to win the match. It was just really, just so many issues with this. And I hate being like that, man. Like, but it's not the right decision. And going forward again, like, Cena is now the champ. Again, it's not the way I would have done it. I think he should have been chasing it and breaking the record in a feel-good moment. Like, where do we go with it? Like, I'm not looking forward to the rest of the year. I'm not, as far as the storyline goes. Big E, just before the show started, was really saying, The Rock's, he's got to be here. And I thought he wouldn't be saying that if he weren't. But The Rock weren't there. Like, even that, The Rock would have added something to this, I feel. It was just, it didn't need to be the same as last year.
Travis Scott, potentially. But yeah.
No, it was poor. It was poor.
Anyone that was a wrestler had done what Travis Scott did, it would have maybe even that. Yeah, it would have been a bit better than Travis Scott doing it. It's a bit different.
Yeah. Still would have been great.
He had to fill a wrestling role because he had to do a move as part of it. So if a paid trained wrestler, even if it was someone from NXT, do you know what I mean? Even if it was someone that no one knew, but they're a wrestler, there's. Thing is, they've done this again. We touched upon it on our build-up show that there is now a massive talking point on the decision that they've made in the sense of John Cena breaking the record, John Cena and Travis Scott ending WrestleMania kind of on top, and there is something to be said. But we didn't get. But the thing I fear is that tomorrow night on Raw and Friday night on SmackDown, when Travis Scott is not there, we're going to just go back to as it was before with Cena, or it just being ignored. And then it's just
and that's not been great either. We're not. I thought, look, the one good thing about Cena winning is that we might get the payoff and get this is why I joined The Rock. The Rock still weren't there. What's it going to show up on Raw? Maybe Raw after Mania is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. Again, we're going to be covering it on this channel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But look, all in all, WrestleMania was a tricky one. It didn't end the way I wanted, but I did enjoy most of it. We get back to the comment we saw earlier on from Fact Sister. Main event night one was better than night two, but overall, what did we prefer, night one or night two? Even though I've come out of this way more dejected, I think overall, having gone back over it as well, I will still say that night two was better. If you switch the main events, you've almost got a perfect night too. Even though I do think there should be a title match at the end of the night, but
like if we were living in some other universe where either one of the three people triple threat were the champion, then generally I think that would be a perfect card. you know, we would have bookended the show with triple threat matches that were both well received. You know, you had still the actual title on the line. You still had a women's tag match. Yeah, so there was a lot. But yeah, night 2 is a better show than night 1. But night 2 has possibly the worst moment of the. I might even go out on the limb and say of the year so far.
Yeah, it was bad
on it because of the scale of how we're talking. We're not talking. Look, I'm sure there was a bad spot in the Rumble, or there was, you know, I think it could be fair though. Actually, we haven't actually had that many matches this year on pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, mate, we'll get to the end of it. It'll still be one of the worst things we've seen. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
This will go down as a very disappointing moment for years to come. We'll wrap up here in just a moment. We'll get to some of these comments before we do. Sludge says, if you could rank the last 3 WrestleManias 1 to 3, how would you do it? This is bottom number 1. I'll just go with that straight away. There were things about the last 2 I really enjoyed. Things I
40's definitely
didn't.
I think.
I can't remember. I loved a lot about 39. I really liked the triple threat. It was the ending again of 39 that was troublesome for me. Not as bad as this though. But last year ended so well. So maybe I can't differentiate between 39 and 40 as far as where I'd rank them if I'm honest. But this is the third out of the 3 of them. Lucas, what would you say? 40 at the top?
Yeah, 40 at the top, definitely. I mean, I'd have to, just because I think finishing the story was very key to that.
Yeah.
I think there was some other good bits and pieces. 39 had the tag match, didn't it?
With the Usos and Sammy and Kevin. That was good. Yeah. Both show. I mean, even this one had some good stuff on it. And again, I do want to be take a few steps away and talk about this. But yeah, it was good. We've had some good manias, man. Like in recent years, like the 2-night things worked out quite well. I think there were some things that missed on this time round, but look, again, hopefully when we have a bit of breathing space away from this show, we can enjoy it even more.
Tomorrow, I guess, isn't it?
But
we can talk
that's tomorrow. All right, Derek says, before we get out of here, all jokes aside, let's appreciate Cody's title reign for being the most awful, most boring, most repetitive, most pathetic title reign WWE. His titles don't come back. Oh, Derek, I thought you were going to say something nice there.
No, it wasn't something nice to end the show.
I thought it was a good title reign. It got tedious at times.
Was bad.
Yeah, but I think he's been a good champion.
And I think maybe what we might do is we might dissect that a bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, Cody's run. Yeah.
Stuff. Because I think that there's more to say, but with respect, guys, it is 5 a.m. here in the UK. Jay versus Gunther is better than Cody versus Cena. Yes.
Just straight, don't need to say much more. Sludge is appreciative of the stream. We are appreciative of all of you guys that have joined us, whether it's live or on demand. Thank you so much. If you are watching on demand, drop your comments as well. We'll be reading back on them. And as Lucas said, we'll be touching on some more of this, I'm sure, on the Monday Night Raw show as well. We're going to have a watch-along experience, and we're going to be breaking down everything at Raw after Mania because, it's one of the most exciting shows of the year. Look, really, really fun Mania overall, even if it ended in a bit of disappointment. Lucas, any final thoughts before we get out of here, mate?
Bedtime. I think there's lots more to be said, but let's sleep on it. Let's see what the Raw preview says tomorrow, and let's see what we're in store for tomorrow night. Raw, and see where things go and get ready for Yeet o'clock.
If there's one thing to look forward to, it's a happy Jey Uso. And with that in mind, we'll say goodbye, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in the next one, which will be Monday Night Raw coverage. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.